welcome back, or welcome if you're new to this booktube channel, Goddess of Gore. My name is Vix and I like to talk about horror, thriller, sometimes fantasy and occasionally sci-fi books every week. Today I wanted to tell you about a fun read-a-thon that I will be taking part in and the choices of books that I have chosen to read for it. So let's get on with it. The read-a-thon is called Horror Mayhem and is the brainchild of the incredibly sweet and lovely Bookish Bryants, who I will link down below, where you can see an explanation video with all of the hosts and events to come next month. So as I said, the Horror Mayhem is next month in May, and for the whole of the month there'll be a new prompt for a sub-genre of horror books for each week. They do say to try and keep books under 250 pages, but they basically said to do whatever you want to do because this is the horror community and we don't have hard rules. So, week 1, supernatural beings and creatures, or crytozoology. For this I have chosen a book that started my love for Sean Hudson, and that is Slugs. I wish I could show you my incredibly battered hardback that doesn't have a dust jacket, but it's still in my storage locker with all of my most treasured books. So instead, I will be reading this as an ebook. It's from way back in the distant past of 1982, and I think I read it around 1986, and I can actually admit to something because it has been so long ago and I can't be held accountable for something that happened in 1986, and that was I stole this book as a child from my library. I was a general misfit back in the day, and I have to say that this is a crime that still haunts me. I'm sure Sean Hudson wouldn't mind because I have paid for every book of his since. So, confession out of the way. It's a 200-page book and it's about, if you haven't guessed, a bunch of disgusting slugs who are living in some guy's cellar, happily eating away at some rotten meat. And they develop a bit of a penchant for this. And then one day they come across a drunken, unconscious body of a man and think, hey up, what's all this then? Oh, it's that meat stuff. And chomp away at him. Slither back down to their dank cellar and await the next meat suit to come along. I am very much looking forward to reading this again. It has been some time since I read it, and I am wondering how well it stands up today. And I know it will rekindle my love for Shawnee Sean. I wonder if this is where my hatred of slugs has come from. Week 2 is a gothic horror book. So I know Regina from the Haunted Library is reading this too, and I am looking forward to it no end, and that is Carmilla by J. Sheridan Le Fanu. And this is the book that inspired Dracula and every vampire book that came after. Written in 1872, predating Bram Stoker's novel by 26 years, it's about a lonely Austrian girl named Laura, who desperately wants a friend to play with because she's all alone in a house with her father, and it is a solitary existence for her. So, when a carriage is involved in an accident outside her house, a young girl named Carmilla is brought in and nursed back to health. But Laura finds herself weakening with Carmilla's rejuvenating. And what's all Carmilla's creeping around at night about? We will find out. Apparently this has some sapphic romance sprinkled in for good measure. So that sounds like terrific fun. Week 3 is a cosmic horror, and I had a bit of a hard time finding something to fit this. I wasn't interested in Lovecraft and his racist, everythingist reputation. So a lot of Google searching Lovecraftian based books, I ended up choosing a book I already owned on my e-reader, and that was The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle, which is a retelling of Lovecraft's The Horror at Red Hook. Is it a cosmic horror? Probably not. Almost definitely not, but I interpret it as based on a Lovecraft. Lovecraft equals cosmic horror, my choice for this week. I do not know any of Lovecraft's writings, only the items that have been brought into modern cultures. I have read Lovecraft County already by Matt Ruff, and I did enjoy that enormously, but this at 149 pages should be a nice quick read. It's about a hustler back in 1942 Harlem named Thomas Tester, a bunch of wealthy white folk and the occult, and maybe the end of the world. I'm not sure, but it's so short that I don't want to spoil it for me or you if you haven't read it already. And then finally, week 4 is folk horror. And I am so looking forward to this. I have chosen Ritual by David Pinner. I've tried for many years to get a physical copy of this book, but I just can't get one, so I had to get it on ebook. I do have a fabulous friend who has a rather prolific library, so I may give her a call and see if she has a copy to lend me. But anyway, written in 1967 and just over 200 pages, the inspiration to the film, The Wicker Man, of which I am a massive fan. The 1973 original. Not the Nicolas Cage one, thank you. We don't mention that one round here. This is a safe space. I am under the impression that this does have some problematic descriptions of females in here, but I'll obviously judge that for myself, since the film does like to linger on the old boobies, so I'm expecting flagrant sexism here and there and everywhere. This was England in the 1960s, and people were walking around with their knockers out non-stop, especially over here. So, this is set in rural Cornwall, which is at the very bottom corner of England, and is about an English police officer who is sent into a secluded little village to investigate the murder of a child. While he's there, he's treated to some trickery and tomfoolery and all sorts of things that go against his godly ways that he thinks are better than the yokels. Probably the film stayed close to this story, so I'm expecting the same as the Robin Hardy classic film. And I do love a story about interfering busybodies thinking he's better than the Yampies and getting his just desserts. As I said, I love films like this, like The Wicker Man and Hot Fuzz and The Ritual, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and things like that, and I adore folky people getting their own back on the townsfolk. So that's it. Those are my choices. I have scribbled out several books to get to these final 4, and I am so looking forward to watching the Bryants hosting videos with their guests. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to, and if not, that's fine too. And please let me know if you are taking part in the Horror Mayhem Challenge. If you are, what are you reading? And if not, have I tempted you to join in? The prompts are so good, and there's a plethora of videos with ideas for these prompts. If you're not joining in, then I hope you do manage to catch a few horror booktubers during the month while they're hosting the mayhem. There's so many great ones involved, which you'll find on the Bookish Bryants video. So please give that a watch. And if you've come here from following the hashtag, then please consider sticking around for more bookish chats. I can't wait to get started. So until next time, bye bye.